iView.
Tonight, a body recovered at Edith Falls after a man disappeared while swimming at the popular tourist spot. Good evening, I'm Kyle Dowling. This is ABC News, Northern Territory. Also tonight, grave fears for a backpacker missing in a remote part of Western Australia as police discover a vital clue in the case. Tens of thousands of troops in the top end as Australia and the US team up in war games. And the agony and the ecstasy, Queensland all class as they steal the Origin series from New South Wales. After a challenging search, the body of a 57-year-old man has been recovered from a popular swimming spot in Nitmaluk National Park. The exhausting two-day recovery effort made use of drones, boats and a police dive team.
Police pack up their boat after a grim but anticipated discovery.
At approximately 9:44 this morning, we located a deceased male at the bottom of Edith Falls.
The man was on holidays in the Northern Territory with his family. Investigators have spent 2 days scouring the large lower pool of Edith Falls, also known as Leyland.
The divers are fairly exhausted. There was some fairly deep dives that occurred over the last 2 days, so they'll need a rest.
Police have said the man and his family swam out about 100 metres towards the falls on the far side of Edith's bottom pool before he got into strife. Divers found the man at a depth of 21 metres, not far from where witnesses saw him struggling before slipping below the surface on Tuesday afternoon. A full report will be prepared for the coroner, but it's suspected the man suffered some kind of medical episode.
It wasn't far from the witness reports. At this stage, can't really determine how far he may have moved.
Police say they're providing care and support to the man's family. Park management will consult with traditional owners on when the popular falls and the walking tracks will reopen. James Elton, ABC News, Edith Falls.
A 22-year-old man has been charged with murder after a man died following a brawl involving up to 20 people in Alice Springs 2 months ago. The 28-year-old victim was stabbed multiple times during the altercation. He was flown to Adelaide for treatment but died last week. Police allege the 22-year-old knew the victim and fled from the crime scene after stabbing him. He was arrested the next day and initially charged with causing serious harm, but the charges have now been upgraded to murder. The government will spend $45 million on a new police station in one of the Northern Territory's biggest communities. The new Maningrida Police Complex will increase policing capacity from 10 officers to 14 and include housing for officers, a courthouse, 5 holding cells and dog kennels. In recent years, private security guards have worked with police and government in law enforcement, but were defunded in March. The government says the new police complex is hoped to meet community needs and strengthen crime prevention. A nationwide search is underway for a German backpacker who vanished in Western Australia's outback as concerns grow over her mystery disappearance. Police say a short time ago they found Carolina Vilga's van, which they believe had suffered mechanical issues. There was no sign of the 26-year-old, who hasn't been seen for almost 2 weeks, with the WA Police Homicide Squad called in to investigate.
This is the last time Carolina Vilga was seen. The general store in the wheatbelt town of Beacon, 3.5 hours drive from Perth. The search area is as extensive as it is challenging.
Carolina was intending to travel throughout regional WA, remote WA. She may have intended to travel over east. And so our search area is therefore vast.
Police have been retracing her steps, spotting her on the 28th of June at a petrol station in the wheatbelt town of Toodyay and then in Dowrin, before her last known stop in Beacon just after midday on the 29th.
This is a missing persons investigation. There is no indication that there's any third-party involvement in her disappearance, but our minds are open to any line of inquiry or any information that people bring forward to us.
Miss Vilga has been backpacking around Australia for the last 2 years and was recently working on mine sites in regional WA. Police, friends and family all desperate for any information. Her mother posting on Facebook, Carolina is still sorely missed. If anyone has any information, please contact police. Please keep your eyes open. Time now of the essence as anxiety grows about the fate of Carolina Vilga. Grace Burmis, ABC News, Beacon.
A 19-year-old surfer has been rescued in New South Wales thanks in part to a huge community response. Darcy Defaults was found this morning 13 kilometres off the coast of Woolai. He spent the night marooned on North Solitary Island after going for a surf in the afternoon. Police and Marine Rescue led the operation that also saw dozens of locals take part. Some answered the call with their own boats after Darcy's father appealed for help.
His Uncle Mick and Uncle David found him, and I think there was somebody else in the boat, I'm not sure. I was at the point of thinking the absolute worst, and, you know, I didn't give up hope, but, geez, I was close. I'm just ecstatic. It's still 1 in a million.
Universities and cultural institutions could be stripped of public funding if they fail to combat anti-Semitism under a broad-ranging plan to address a surge in hatred towards Jewish people. The federal government has welcomed the review by the anti-Semitism envoy, but hasn't yet committed to accepting the recommendations. Here's National Affairs correspondent Jane Norman.
Months in the making and delivered just days after the latest in a long line of anti-Semitic attacks, this is Gillian Siegel's call to action.
It's not a symbolic document, it's an action plan.
Designed to combat a surge in anti-Semitism since the October 7 attacks that sparked the war in Gaza. Synagogues set alight, cars torched, swastikas scrawled onto buildings.
The idea that somehow the cause of justice for Palestinians is advanced by behaviour like that is not only delusional, it is destructive.
These are not isolated events, and they form part of a broader pattern of intimidation and violence that is making Jewish Australians feel very unsafe.
The wide-ranging plan calls on governments to toughen hate crimes laws and to embed Holocaust and anti-Semitism education in national school curriculum.
Education is central.
Higher education also in the envoy's sights, calling for a commission of inquiry into campus anti-Semitism and for the government to strip funding from universities, cultural institutions and festivals that fail to combat hatred against Jewish people.
We'll now carefully consider the report recommendations.
We want to see this dealt with urgently, and I think that's what the Jewish community is after as well.
Among Jewish leaders,
today really is a new dawn, and I think it's a momentous day for the Jewish community and for Australia.
The type of things we're seeing against the Jewish community shouldn't be happening to anybody. And we eventually need to laws and penalties and structures to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody.
The Prime Minister is seeking to reset what has been a fraught relationship with the Jewish community while redrawing the boundaries of what is acceptable discourse in a democracy. The Gaza war has tested social cohesion, but Anthony Albanese is imploring Australians who rejected extremes at the election to reject the extremist views in this debate.
Criticism of Israel is legitimate, as is criticism of the Palestinian Authority. But you can put forward those views respectfully.
Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
Tens of thousands of troops from across the world are in the top end and ready to battle it out in war games designed to strengthen ties and prepare Australia and its allies for combat. The ADF's largest and most complex exercise involves the Army, Air Force and Navy and comes at a key time for global relations.
A show of military might on the water, in the air and on the ground.
You're going to see an increase in military vehicle traffic in and around the roads in Darwin and Katherine, as well as the presence of ADF personnel operating vehicles, but also carrying weapons and the like. But citizens shouldn't be alarmed.
The largest military exercise held in Australia, Talisman Sabre, involves 30,000 personnel preparing our troops for combat.
This is about uplifting our capacity to defend our territory in Australia as well as our citizens, and to do so through the defence or the protection of our critical infrastructure and our defence bases.
A joint exercise between the United States and Australia. It involves participants from 19 allied countries.
This is a great opportunity for my crew. This is the first time a port security unit has ever been in Darwin, ever been in the Indian Ocean. So this is a big thing for the United States government and for us being here.
From jungle warfare to maritime patrols, the territory's unique terrain offers a perfect testing ground for troops on the job and off it.
They're having a great time. They're enjoying the people, the food, the community, the sunsets, the weather. It's wonderful here.
Exercise Talisman Sabre runs for 1 month. Mazar Karim, ABC News, Darwin.
Coming up on 7:30, Sarah Ferguson speaks to the Foreign Minister, Penny Wong.
The Minister will join me from the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur, plus we'll examine Australia's relationship with our largest trading partner ahead of the Prime Minister's trip to China this weekend.
The opportunity is to make the most of the kinds of trade opportunities that are being opened up right now.
Also, I'll speak to Australia's anti-Semitism envoy, Gillian Siegel. That's coming up.
The White House claims a ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas is very close and could come into effect within weeks. As negotiations proceed, Israel is continuing its heavy bombardment inside Gaza, where hospitals are bearing the brunt of power shortages.
Inside Al-Shifa Hospital, patients are being treated in darkness. Dwindling fuel supplies cutting electricity to intensive care wards, where staff are forced to manually ventilate patients and use mobile phones to light up rooms.
The situation inside the hospital is very difficult. Medical teams stand helpless.
Israeli bombardments are taking a heavy toll on hospitals inside Gaza, and overwhelmed staff are warning of an imminent humanitarian catastrophe.
The hospital will cease to be a place of healing and will become a graveyard for those inside.
As Israel's barrage continues, so does growing optimism of a 60-day ceasefire. Hamas offering to release 10 hostages in exchange for Israel halting its attacks. But both sides are still disagreeing on the logistics of aid deliveries and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from large swathes of the Strip.
We want to have peace, we want to get the hostages back, and I think we're close to doing it.
Whether Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu shares that sentiment will become clear in the next few days as those negotiations continue. In the meantime, he's trying to bolster his country's ties to the Trump administration, meeting the US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in Washington and hailing the White House's support during the war with Iran.
Frankly, it was like the roar of two lions, and it was heard around the world.
In Khan Yunis, mourners grieve the victims of the latest Israeli airstrikes on its other war front, in another day of painful farewells in the Gaza Strip.
Who can solve this? Who can end the situation that we are in? No one.
Israel's military campaign grinding on, with peace, for now, just out of reach. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Jerusalem.
At least 3 people have been killed after Houthi militants attacked a cargo ship in the Red Sea. Yemen-based Houthis released footage of the Liberian-flagged vessel being struck by a missile before sinking. Rescuers say 6 of the 25 people on board have been pulled from the water and they'll continue to search for survivors. It's the second ship sunk by the Iranian-backed group in the critical shipping lane in less than a week. The United States has condemned the attacks, but the Houthis have vowed to keep targeting vessels until the war in Gaza ends. A new study has found Europe's recent record-breaking heat wave led to the deaths of more than 2,000 people. Western Europe has just sweltered through its hottest June ever, fanning wildfires and shutting down tourist spots.
It's a rare sight, the Acropolis empty at the height of the tourist season. As the mercury climbed to 42 degrees in Athens, The ancient attraction was closed and visitors turned away.
It's not ideal because, when they're travelling away, we're not able to see it.
Western Europe has sweltered through its hottest June ever. At least 2,300 people died in just 10 days across 12 cities, according to a study from the Imperial College of London.
Of these 2,300, 1,500 have only died because of climate change. So they would not have died if it would not have been for our burning of oil, coal and gas in the last century.
The extreme temperatures have fanned wildfires in Spain, Germany and Greece. In France's second biggest city, Marseille, more than 100 people have been injured in a blaze which also forced the airport to close.
We only have one planet. France lives as if we have 2.5. We have to change our way of life.
Here in the UK, fire chiefs have warned that the country isn't prepared for the impacts of climate change. Already this summer, firefighters have been called to more than 500 wildfires. That's a 700% jump on this time last year.
Religious leaders have joined urgent calls for action.
We must pray for the conversion of many people inside and outside the Church who still do not see the urgency of caring for our common home.
The EU Climate Monitor says climate change made the heat wave up to 4 degrees hotter in many cities. Bridget Rollison, ABC News, London.
Regional pubs through to bakeries are wiping huge debts so they can keep the doors open. They're doing this through legal restructures which are rising in prominence, and often it's the tax office saying yes.
Neville Walton has a message that you don't always hear.
Cheers to the tax office, thank you.
The publican recently convinced the ATO to wipe most of his pub's unpaid tax bill, which was up to $350,000.
Hopefully in the 18 months' time I can come out of it debt-free.
Neville used restructuring laws that let small businesses ask entities that they owe money to wipe large chunks of this debt.
If they approve it, then that plan sort of resets the company, including the debts that it owes, so that it can continue to trade afterwards.
More of these restructures are being lodged, and construction, accommodation and hospitality businesses are using them the most. 34% involve debts between $200,000 and $400,000, with businesses on average asking for 79% of this to be wiped. Almost 9 in 10 restructures went through.
The ATO is the largest creditor in most small business restructures, and that means that they control the voting.
Most of the companies that are going through these restructures are still registered within the next year, but beyond this, there is very little data about the long-term success of this policy and whether it's encouraging good business or simply wiping debt. ASIC says that there's no evidence that these laws are being misused, but some still have mixed feelings.
I think there's some downside there where it can be utilised to avoid paying debts.
The Albany Hotel is still trading 6 months later.
Although I won't have anything to sell with the business, I'll be able to sleep at night.
Neville hopes to retire in several years. Amelia Terzon, ABC News.
To finance now, and it was a solid day for both the Australian dollar and the share market. While Donald Trump's new tariffs on copper and Brazilian imports might have unintended consequences for American consumers. Here's David Chow.
America's economic self-harm continues, with Donald Trump sending out more letters to other countries, dictating the new tariffs their goods will face when they arrive in the US. The tariff on Brazil's imports will jump from 10 to 50%, partly because he's unhappy that his political ally, the former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, is being prosecuted for, allegedly, trying to overthrow the government after an election loss. A few parallels there. But the use of tariffs as political punishment will probably end up making inflation worse for American consumers, especially for those who can't live without their coffee. Particularly when you consider Brazil is America's largest supplier of Arabica beans. Plus, coffee inflation in Trump land is already above 10%, and it's not easy to find alternatives quickly. So Starbucks should probably be up in arms about this. On top of that, the US president has announced August the 1st is when his massive 50% tariff on copper imports will begin, which led to copper futures in America surging to record highs, much higher than everywhere else. So this looks to be the early signs of an own goal. Meanwhile, it was a solid day for mining stocks, which drove the Australian share market up by 0.6%. The Aussie dollar is buying 65.5 US cents, while gold, oil and iron ore prices rose. Overseas, markets traded mostly higher, with Wall Street getting a major boost from Nvidia, which has hit a market value of $4 trillion US. And in the past 2.5 years, its share price has risen by 1,000%. Even the price of Bitcoin, which hit a new record, didn't rise anywhere near as much, which gives you an idea about how crazy this AI boom is. And that's finance.
Queensland has lifted for grieving skipper Cameron Munster to claim the 2025 State of Origin series. After an emotional build-up to last night's Game 3 decider, New South Wales could do little to stop the Maroons.
It's a famous victory that only the Maroons could pull off.
Well worth coming down from Brisbane to be here.
It's a terrible outing for the boys. Yeah, not happy.
They can have the sight on paper, but they'll never get it.
Just days after his father died, Cameron Munster led out Queensland in enemy territory. But the Maroons brought the fire, and they raced out to a 20-0 lead at half-time,
Queensland again to open the try scoring,
leaving the home side in disbelief. Star halfback Nathan Cleary struggled to control the game, while his opposite number, Tom Dearden, scored a double.
Dearden sprints away to score.
He was named man of the match and the series.
What a game it's been. Tommy Dearden, he has been in everything.
Dearden and his inspiring captain led the Maroons to a 24-12 victory.
I know it's been a tough time, but I guess at the end of the day, that's life, and I just want to appreciate everyone that's been around me.
Boy, that's one proud dad sitting up there watching his boy tonight.
New South Wales paid the price for failing to clinch the series when they had the chance.
It's hard to win Origin series back to back.
Laurie Daly says he's the right man to continue coaching the team.
Most definitely.
It wasn't his fault. It fell on our shoulders as players.
While the Blues lament what could have been, the Maroons celebrate a series win that'll go down in State of Origin folklore. Bindi Bryce, ABC News.
A Collingwood supporter who sent a threatening text directed at Carlton coach Michael Voss has been hit with a 5-year ban. The supporter has also had their Magpies membership revoked.
A Collingwood keyboard warrior who threatened the Carlton coach. And now that fan's footy fun is over. Banned from attending the footy until 2030. His Magpies membership gone. Collingwood saying they won't tolerate threats to officials, supporters or individuals, and such conduct is unacceptable. The MCG has come down hard too, imposing a ban from all events at the venue for the next 5 years.
I don't care what you say.
The patron used the AFL's anti-social hotline from his own phone while attending Friday night's game. The league's integrity unit says that's a service intended for a safe and inclusive manner, and the majority of the time it's used appropriately. In Perth, Justin Longmuir didn't hold back after former North star David King questioned if Longmuir was the right man for Freo.
To be honest, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me what I've done to David King, I'd be a rich man and I'd probably be in the Bahamas, guts up.
After suffering an 11-point loss to the Swans, the Dockers sit just outside the 8 on percentage, and King has some questions.
Is he the guy to take them all the way to a premiership? 6th year, I have my doubts. I've had my doubts for a while.
I don't think David's put together a game plan, put together a list, put together a culture.
Despite King's comments, Hawthorn is bracing for a fired-up Freo, weighing up how to tag either vice-captain Caleb Serong or his counterpart Andrew Brayshaw.
Serong's been a great player for a long time now, and Brayshaw's probably hurt us a couple of times in the past.
A heavyweight fight is brewing for Geelong too, with current Coleman leader Jeremy Cameron in one corner and Giants reigning Coleman medalist Jesse Hogan in the other.
If Cameron dominates, or Hogan dominates, that team's going to have a big advantage.
Alexia Pesce, ABC News.
Novak Djokovic is on track to win a record 25th Grand Slam title following his Wimbledon quarter-final win. But first, he'll have to get past world number one, Jannik Sinner. In the women's draw, Iga Swiatek has made her first Wimbledon semi-final as she seeks to add to her 5 Grand Slam victories.
Novak Djokovic has again come back from a set down after losing the tiebreak against Italy's big serving 22nd seed.
Flavio Caboli on centre court for the first time against the great man. Strikes first.
The gripping match was clearly too much for some.
Everybody engrossed.
Djokovic's all-round class won the day, but not without a scare on match point. He recovered to make a record 14th Wimbledon semi-final.
And there it is, the killer touch from Djokovic.
Where he'll play another Italian, world number one Jannik Sinner.
For me, this is what counts actually the most. I mean, being in the last stages of Grand Slams.
Sinner methodically disposed of 10th seed American Ben Shelton in straight sets, despite nursing an injured elbow.
Yeah, he's okay.
Obviously, it feels so amazing. You know, Wimbledon, it's the most special tournament.
8th seed Poland's Iga Swiatek has finally made it to the last 4 at Wimbledon, defeating Russian Ludmila Samsonova in straight sets.
Iga Swiatek is a Wimbledon semi-finalist for the first time.
It feels great. Even though I'm in the middle of the tournament, you know, I already got goosebumps, you know.
She'll play another semi-final debutante, the unseeded Swiss Belinda Bencic, who upset 7th seed Russian Mira Andreeva in 2 tie-break sets.
What a performance, composed performance.
Whatever the results of the semi-finals tomorrow, Wimbledon will crown an 8th new women's champion.
In rugby union, the ACT Brumbies have become the latest Australian side, putting up a good fight outed as a near test-ready Lions Stadium. The visitors took a 9-point lead into half-time and the Brumbies were unable to mount a comeback. Even being held up over the line 3 times, the Lions weren't to be denied, taking out the tour match 36 points to 24. Belgium cyclist Remco Evenepoel has won the individual time trial 5th stage of the Tour de France. The Olympic and World Time Trial champion finished 16 seconds ahead of 3-time winner Tadej Pogačar. Pogačar did enough to reclaim the leader's yellow jersey and now leads Evenepoel in second by 42 seconds. The big loser was 2-time winner Jonas Vingegaard, who now sits in 4th, 1 minute and 13 seconds behind Pogačar. Turning to the weather now, and tonight's weather pick at Casuarina Coastal Reserve has been sent in by Kula Roussos. And you can send us your weather photos to weatherpicsnt@abc.net.au. It was sunny in the north of the NT today, cool and windy conditions towards the south. It was 33 in Darwin today, 34 at Berry Springs. Zooming out, 32 for Katherine, 29 in Nhulunbuy, and for Jabiru, 34 degrees. Alice Springs, a top of 17, 18 in Yulara and Tennant Creek, 23. On the satellite, it's clear for the Northern Territory and most of the country, a bit of cloud in the southeast. A bridge across Australia is expected to strengthen and a cold front is moving across Tasmania. Interstate tomorrow, Hobart reaching a top of 12, showers in store for Melbourne, 11 degrees for Canberra, sunny for Sydney, 21 for Brisbane, showers in Adelaide and 20 for Perth. Around the Territory tomorrow, Alice Springs, morning frost with a low of 0, Tennant Creek, sunny and 22, Elliott 25. To the north, 30 and sunny for Katherine, 29 at Daly Waters, partly cloudy in Nhulunbuy. And looking west, 33 for Berry Springs and Darwin headed for a sunny 31 tomorrow. It's a morning high tide just after 7 and a strong wind warning has been issued for the Roper-Groot coast. The sun will rise tomorrow at 7:08 and set at 6:36. And winds picking up in Darwin for the next couple of days, some cloud about from the weekend. And morning frost sticking around for Alice Springs, though temperatures will pick up a bit from Sunday. And stay with us now, Sarah Ferguson is up next with 7:30. Good night.